Hello, everyone. I'm Robyn Grable, the founder of Talents Ascend and the Ascend Collective, and your host for Ascending Beyond Barriers. Welcome. Ascending Beyond Barriers is an inspiring podcast dedicated to showcasing the remarkable journeys of small business founders who have faced and overcome significant challenges on their path to success. Each episode delves into the personal stories of entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds, highlighting their unique experiences, struggles, and triumphs. Hello, everyone. We're excited to be here today. Yaryna Hotlib is the founder and owner of NanoFund, and we're so excited to have her on with us today. She came to the U.S. from the Ukraine during the war in 2022, determined to rebuild her life from scratch. Before the war, she was a successful technical product and engineering manager. Today, she's using her expertise and resilience to drive impactful change through the NanoFund. Yaryna, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have you on. I've been on your podcast, so this is so much fun to have you on mine. I'm going to talk about you more than me, so that's exciting for me. But tell us about, this is Ascending Beyond Barriers, so there can't be much bigger barrier than having to leave your home country. So if you can just talk a little bit about that. I don't want to get too emotional because I am a very emotional person, and that will happen.
Yeah, me too.
But I really I want people to understand that was a huge barrier for you to make that decision for the reasons that you did, to come here to the U.S. and start your life over and begin this journey. So tell us a little bit about that.
It's very complex question and very complex story in a nutshell. But essentially, for me, everything started in the middle of the night of 22nd February, and that was like I haven't expected anything to happen. Despite all the news, despite everything,
Sure.
to the level that I had my surgery scheduled on the February 23rd. So essentially, I've heard the first sounds of bombing recovering after surgery. That was the morning before my surgery, and I do remember very clearly in the middle of the morning, that was like 4 or 5 a.m. when I've heard those sounds, and you cannot mess it. You know for a fact that those are bombs, those are rockets. And I do remember that I started to call off the nurse so she could detach me from all, essentially everything I needed to be attached to my body to recover from the surgery. And she was very sleepy, and she was like, why are you calling me? Something wrong? I'm like, yeah, war started. Hello. And she was like, war? What war? And right at the second, we heard that yet another rumble sound. And I do remember, that essentially no one knew at the very first moment what to do.
Sure.
And like when we started to drive out of a city or out of a Kiev, because I was at that moment in Kiev, and we on the second day after surgery, I was right behind the wheel in my car, and together with other families, we tried to get out of the city. And I do remember that, one of the ways out of the city, I started to turn into that driveway, and there was tons of soldiers on both sides, and they were yelling, no way, just turn around. And you don't know what to do, because you're like, yeah, sure, I have to turn around, but everybody else who are essentially behind you gonna need to turn around, and you need some space, and there was no space. So yeah, but the first day, I would say that I was so scary that it wasn't scary. I know that sounds very maybe weird, but that was essentially, at some point of a time, you just stop being scary because you cannot allow that yourself.
Right. You have to survive, right? I mean, you kick into that survival mode. Absolutely.
Exactly. And I do remember, that on the third day or so, was supposed to drive to my relatives in the Western Ukraine. So from there, I could head to the Europe, to the safer space.
Sure.
Let's put it that way. Because my son at that moment, he was in Germany. My nanny and very good friend of the family, she pushed me somewhere like February 20th, or 21st, no, February 21st. That was the very last flights from Lufthansa from Kiev, and she was like, you know what, if the war will start it as they say, he's gonna be in safe. If not, we're just gonna stay for a week in Germany with my family, and we will get back. So like, what is the
Wow.
worst case scenario here?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure thing, let's do something like that. So I was supposed to, drive to the border of the Poland, and then from Poland go to Germany. But somewhere in the middle of the road, I just stopped crying and understanding that I cannot leave my country, I cannot leave all the
Mm.
people of my country and like in that situation. And essentially what I've done, I just turned my car around and I get back to Kiev.
Wow.
And for a couple months, I've turned that into my job, like becoming a courier, or as we call ourselves back in Ukraine, the military volunteer, because essentially our job was to go to the front line where essentially all the fights are happening, and
Wow.
try to bring as much as possible of supplies to the
Sure.
guys, helping them to hold the line, and then take as many as possible civilians.
Wow.
And you would imagine that, the part with the supplies are more scarier, even though, yes, sometimes you're under literal fire attack or something like that, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to drive through that. But taking care of civilians were much more harder from the emotional part, because
Of
essentially you
course.
have like 3 minutes or so window in between the next attack, and you have to say those people, leave it all, you have 3 minutes to pack your
Right.
bags and just run. And
Yeah.
if you will not be able to pack your bags in 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes, I'm gonna need to leave you here,
Wow. Wow.
because I will not be able to drive to another house until attack will start.
Right.
There is like, I cannot allow myself to do that.
Yeah.
And some people couldn't help themselves.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just think about, I mean, like, we're experiencing this, and then this won't publish for a little while, but we're experiencing the fires in LA, and people are having the same, situations of leaving their homes and everything they have, and what do you take with you, and what can you grab? And people take it for granted. And it's very, because I think about, if I had to leave right now, what would I take? And of course, my grand cherubs would be of utmost importance, but just photos that we can't get back and all of those things. But so what was the ultimate decision that led you to leave? Because wow, that, I mean, it sounds like you were talking about a movie, quite honestly. As you're saying it, the visualization in my mind is like, this is a movie. This can't be real. This can't be happening.
Yeah.
But you lived through it. But what was the ultimate decision then to leave and come to the US?
Well, my son, essentially, he started to calling me, and at some point of a time, he just told me that he doesn't need mom hero, he needs a live mom.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I was like, well, yes, I mean, you have to make a choice.
Right.
And of course, I do love my country, and I
Sure.
love everybody over there. And for many many months, even being abroad, I was helping everybody I was able to help, even from abroad. But yes, I was decided to move to Europe. And to be totally honest, taking into account that there was like, this ideas that there is the chance that maybe, Russian Federation will try to
Mm,
invade also into Poland, or anything might
sure.
happen. I don't want to stay in Europe. And that was absolutely rational, like emotions. I do
Sure.
understand it now, but at that moment, I just wanted to be as far away as possible and as
Of
safe
course.
as possible. And in my head, there was no place safer than United States of America.
Mm,
Like, taking into account all the power and everything. Even though, yes, there are a lot of problems, like in this country, you just brought it, right? LA and
Right.
tons of other problems. But if you want to take care of your child and provide the highest possible level of protection,
Yeah.
well, in my mind, that was the ultimate choice, United States of America. And I'm
Right.
incredibly grateful to this country, to everybody who's living here. I tend to believe that, like, sometimes, and I'm talking here about all the Ukrainians, like in general, because we're all under such stress, we tend to forget to say thank you to
Sure.
the countries who protected us, to the countries who gave us support, who gave us possibility to enter the country, to stay over here, to
Yeah.
get a job. I do know that when we were talking about USCIS, it's taking a lot to go through all the bureaucracy and the process. But
Yep.
I had my work permit in 5 months after I
Nice.
was in
Okay.
the country, because there was expedited line, and folks were really taking care about that. And
Nice.
again, I do know that we tend to forget to say thank you, and this is
Sure.
my chance, and I'm incredibly grateful. That
Oh.
was another reason why, after I've received my permanent resident card, I was seeking for an opportunity to join military forces, even as the, like, I don't know, part-time, or it doesn't really matter, because you have to pay your due, at least in my mind, right? And
Sure.
if that's the way, I'm gonna pay it. Same applies to the Nana Fund, right? That was one of the reasons why I've choose this specific audience, veterans and military spouses.
Okay.
First of all, because I do know for a fact, what does it mean to be on the front line, what you're
Yeah.
going through, what mental health issues you're gonna face with, right? And
Sure.
I've been there like only for a couple months. Yes, that was like hot conflict, but
Yes.
still. And I've been separated from my family only for a couple months, and I cannot even imagine
Yeah.
how does it feel to be deployed for years and be separated from your
Yeah.
family? How does it feel on both sides? How does it feel to be the military spouse who are waiting and doesn't know for sure, right, what is
Sure.
happening? And God forbid there are going to be any issues in the network connections or anything. It feels like in the middle of 21st century, network issues, come on. But yes, hello, it can be
Yeah.
so. I do
Sure.
remember when our guys started to get their first, like, Starlinks, and the first time they had that connection in the middle of nowhere, and they had possibility to say to their beloved ones, I'm still here, I'm alive,
Yeah.
keep waiting, I'm here. And this is amazing, like,
Yeah.
to think about that. And yes, I mean, I tend to believe that this is very important to at least raise up those questions,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Well, and I know when I was stationed in Iceland, before internet, before, phones, before all that, we could call home on the satellite phone once a month.
Oh my
And
god.
it was where and for me, it was, as I look back on it now, for me, I was 18, 19 years old. I was in Iceland having fun. I was in the Navy, just doing my job and all the things. Um, and I didn't realize the impact on my family at the time. My sister was only 11. My brother was 11. My sister was 14. And there was an empty seat at the table for a long time. I was in Iceland for 2 years. I got to go home once in that 2 years and only talk to them like once a month. So, and I remember at one point I got to talk to my mom and the satellite phone cut off and I didn't get to tell her I love you. And it was then that I finally decided, no matter what, I'm ending every conversation as soon as I can with I love you, because you don't know if that's the last time you'll talk to them or, what's going to happen. So I totally get it. And wow. So I want to talk about the Nana Fund though. So, I mean, this is just amazing what you're doing. You've told us the reason why you're doing it, but tell us about the Nana Fund and what you're doing with that.
So essentially, the main idea behind was to create a single spot for every veteran, for every military spouse who wants to start a business or who have any business. and who's struggling with the funding. And that's right, cash is king, as they say. And that's, I would say, one of the main reasons why a lot of business is going to fail and why a lot of business will be successful, right?
Sure.
Because you need to take care of your essentially funding. So what we
Yes.
wanted to do was we wanted to create one single platform where we can you can find all the needed information, all the grants, support
Nice.
program, incentive programs, accelerators, incubators, loans, everything in one spot. And moreover, as soon as were like, after we finished building that scraper which collects the information all over the internet, we
Okay.
started to think about, like, okay, now we have it all, but it is like it's very complex to find what exactly is applicable for you. So we build on top of that essentially the mechanism which is analyzing your specific profile and your needs, and
Okay.
then analyzing everything we do have in our database, and will show you only those opportunities you are eligible for. You can apply right here, right now. So you don't need to spend that time, going through and realizing, oh, okay, I'm not eligible. I'm not operating in Maine. Oh, I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't know, Asian American, whatever, right? And oh, and by the way, deadline was like 2 years ago. So I wanted to avoid all of that and create the single spot. And now we wanted to build on top of that. And that's what we are working on with a lot of our consultants from the bank and from the SBA loan sphere. And I'm super grateful them for helping us to figure out how we can simplify the process of getting loan. Because I do remember
Yeah.
my first time when I was talking to the SBA loan officer, and he was like, well, you need to fulfill this personal financial statement, it's only 8 pages. I'm like, how
Exactly.
much? 8 pages? You joking me? And he was like, yeah, it's no problem. And by the way, also, you're gonna need to send me your financial projections according to the form, da 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 da. And I've just
And
stopped
tax
listening.
returns and all bank statements and all this stuff. Yes, it's
Yeah,
complicated.
and you're like, I lost you like 3 sentences ago, and I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Just
Exactly.
stop. And I was like, but in a nutshell, I am an engineer, I'm a developer, and if I'm seeing problem like that, I'm starting to analyze the system, and I'm starting to think about, okay, that's all great. Yes, it is complex. I'm scared. So now what?
Yes. And
Let's think how it can be fixed.
absolutely. And I've had the privilege of being on the Nana Fund, and it is absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much for doing that. It's just amazing because it is, I mean, funding is one of the biggest barriers for small business owners to be successful. And it's so complicated. You almost have to not need the money for people to give you money. So it's one of those things where you've got to plan ahead for what your growth is going to be and all those things. But there's so many programs out there that you just don't know about either. And I love what you're doing and putting that all together in a very easy, compact way. But what would be your advice in addition to using the Nana Fund? But just what would be your advice to entrepreneurs when they're thinking about starting a business or thinking about needing funding or wanting to go into being a small business owner?
I'd say just keep learning. Keep
Sure.
learning, keep making mistakes. That's okay. You
Yep.
will screw up. Just accept that from the very beginning. And most probably you will even won't realize that
Yeah.
that essentially you're moving toward wrong direction, wrong just until you're gonna be
Been
right
there.
there. Right? And until
Yes.
you're gonna lose tons of money, incredible amount of like your like, I don't know, of calories, of everything, like of some, maybe if you're lucky enough, some nights when you're gonna lay out there and hate yourself and trying to realize what happened. Let it be.
Yep. Yeah.
You
Great
will
advice.
screw up. That was the best advice, I'd say, my friend once gave me when I was pregnant. She told me, just relax. You will be bad mom. You will be horrible. You will be terrible. Relax.
There is no guidebook. There's no, yeah, you have
Yeah.
to just learn it, right? Yeah.
Just relax.
Yeah.
because at the very same time you will be incredible mom. Same applies
Absolutely.
to the founder and entrepreneurs. You will be horrible, but at the same time you will be terrific.
Yes.
So give yourself some slack. You're
Yeah.
going to be fine. You will
Yeah.
figure that out, but do not stop learning.
Yeah. Good
Even
advice.
after you will gain your first, I don't know, 100,000 million, keep learning, keep walking, hold the line, because that's the way. There is
Yeah.
no other ways, right? There is no
Yeah.
magical pill. There is no like super, exactly like rule book or anything like that. You will screw, but keep learning, keep
Yeah.
walking.
Absolutely. And it's true because like having a small business is like having a baby. I mean, it's like you're building this and you're nurturing it and you're growing it and you're feeding it and you're, disciplining it, kind of thing. And there is no true rule book. There's plenty of books out there that tell you how to be a parent, but you have to be your own person in your business and in your parenting. But it really is. So what's the future of NanoFund? Where do you see it going? And then tell us about maybe a time that you personally really found something profound in helping one of the veterans or military spouse business owners.
Oh gosh, what is the future? I when I was thinking about NanoFan and its mission, I've spent some time, and then I came up with this idea, understanding that I want to have opportunity in 4 years from now to say, you know what, every minute some business owner get funded at NanoFund with the help of NanoFund.
Nice.
That's my goal. And that means that, like, okay, we do have grants, we have support programs on the platform. Now we need to help the folks to get loans, to simplify the process, to analyze the data. And that's essentially what we are working on, to provide opportunity to the folks who need to prepare their very first personal financial statement.
Yeah.
Just upload the set of document. We're going to analyze them. We're
Oh,
going to
nice.
fulfill everything. And now you just
Perfect.
essentially what you have to do and what you can do is just go over fulfill document and just check if we haven't made any mistakes,
Sure.
because it's the system. And I would always emphasize that do not trust any systems.
Yes.
Go and check it by yourself, no matter how comfortable and how incredible they are. Go check, see everything by your own eyes, and only after put your signature,
Yeah,
because that's your signature. Come on, take
it
care
is.
of it,
Exactly.
right?
Well, it's
So
like your tax
that's
returns, right? It says if you've got an accountant that fills this out for you, you're still signing. You need to make sure that the information is true and correct. So, wow.
exactly. Do not put your signature or on or
Exactly.
consent, just checkbox every time they're pushing you.
Yeah,
That's their
absolutely.
job, and your job, be very careful and mindful with your signature,
Yeah,
because that's you who will be
sure.
responsible after the moment you're going to put your signature or consent checkbox
Yeah,
of all the results and
sure.
consequences afterwards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that, but still, I tend to believe that right here, right now, and I'm super happy about that. All the technical possibilities is there. we
sure.
can we can analyze all the data, we can simplify the processes, and
Yes.
that's what we are aiming to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what we're doing at Talents Ascend too, simplifying the hiring process for small businesses. All right. Well, close this out because we could talk for much, much longer. Just enjoy talking with you, Yaryna. So close us out by telling us maybe a story about a success story of a veteran or a military spouse that you've helped that have just been a profound impact on your life.
Oh my God, that was like there was tons of veterans and active duty folks back in Ukraine. I'm still talking
Sure.
to, and I'm helping, and
Yay.
I'm grateful them for everything, for every warm word, because essentially I left my house and my car for the volunteers to
Wow.
provide them opportunity, to keep helping folks. And I'm incredibly happy to see their reports that the car is still alive and still,
Nice.
yeah, and still helping, still
Wow.
providing supplies to the army, and still helping civilians get out. So I'm incredibly grateful for that and happy. Well, if we're talking about NanoFund, I do, I've received, oh my God, more than 15 emails already from different folks who are using the platform, letting me know that, you know what, I found this. And that was incredible from some point of view, because I
Hmm.
had 5+ emails like into our info account about, and by the way, yes, I'm reading info account, I'm reading everything because I'm crazy about it. Letting me know that they've tried to apply for some grants and they weren't successful, but then they've decided, because I was emphasizing this idea at some of the podcast episodes, they've applied for incubator and they got accepted. And even though they
Nice.
didn't have, like, they haven't received any funding, because they get tons of knowledge and support and ideas. Essentially, when they went out of that incubator, they've started their business, and now
Yeah.
they're very well. It's not successful yet, but at least they do know for a fact when they're going to hit their break-even point, and they're very, happy about it. And I'm also
Hey,
incredibly happy about it, because that's essentially what we were trying to do, to
sure.
provide you opportunity to get funded in all possible ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're just going to instantly get money, but you're going to grow your business in some way. So, well, congratulations on all of that. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and just God bless you. And I'm just so happy that you're safe and your son is safe and that you're here. And hopefully things will settle down and you can get your family as well. So, thank you so much for being here. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an incredible pleasure as always.